Hey, Dad.
No?
Hello.
Hang on.
I have a couple questions for you.
Oh, Christ. How many?
It won't take long, but you can't question me on the matter because yeah, you just gotta listen and answer the questions.
I can't question you, but you can question me.
Well, you can question me afterwards, but I'm recording this for proof that, I'm getting information from you.
Ah,
So, you were a cop, right?
yes.
How long were you a cop for?
Um, Probably a total of 10 or 11 years.
Okay. So, now this is just hypothetically speaking. Say a girl around 19 to 20, maybe 21, is dating a minor who is 15, 16, and they're doing sexual acts. That is illegal,
Ah,
right?
yes.
Okay. If the
Well,
parents...
well, well,
Huh?
it is. It is and it isn't. It's not, there's no law straight across the board. I need more info on that. But yeah, for the most part, 99% of the time, that is against the law.
Okay, even if, like, the parents consent to it?
The parents can't consent to sexual acts.
Yeah, okay, I didn't think so. Um, it's not, there's not really all that much information to go off of. It's just really a overage girl who is over 18 and a girl who is under 18 having sexual relations, and neither one of them think it's illegal.
Well, that's because they're both wrong. You go to the case in Florida recently, there was a 17-year-old girl dating a 15-year-old girl. Parents of the 15-year-old hated it because they didn't want their daughter to be gay and blah, blah, blah. But there was nothing they could do about it. A
Right.
couple days after the 17-year-old turned 18, the parents called the cops, and that girl was charged with statutory rape of a minor.
Right.
It was all consensual. Everybody knew everything about it, but the 15-year-old's parents didn't like the idea of it happening. As soon as she turned 18, they turned her in. It's against the law. Now, there are some places with some age gaps and age differences, like, if it's I don't know the exact age. You said 18, 19, or 20, 21, but, if it's an 18-year-old girl, sometimes they can be with someone 16 or 17. But
Okay.
if it's like a 21-year-old, they have to be 18 or over. I mean, and then that varies by states, but 90% of the time, over 18, messing with under 18 is statutory rape.
Right. I figured as much. But we figured we'd get the authority view on it.
And then you get into a state that does not accept or allow, like, gay marriage. Like
Right.
where I'm at, Louisiana, gay marriage is not allowed. If you get married in Wisconsin where it's allowed, and then you come down here to Louisiana, that marriage is not valid. Then you start getting into, like, acts of sodomy.
Right.
Like oral sex for men, anal sex, that's sodomy, and there are states that is a crime also.
Oh, whoa.
Not that anyone ever really does anything, like whether it's guy, girl, or girl, like for oral sex, but there are states that is against the law.
Yeah.
So if for some reason, you've got a 21-year-old girl messing with a 15-year-old girl, and it became an issue, there's more than just statutory rape that gets added on there. There's coercing, there's sodomy charges, obviously statutory rape or forced rape, they try to call it sometimes. There's just all kinds of shit that can happen with it.
Right. Well, everyone keeps trying to tell, this person and this person's friends who are defending her that, yes, everyone can get in trouble for this, and everyone's being very ignorant of the law, and they're like, oh, it's fine, the parents consent to it, it's not illegal if the parents consent to it. And it's like...
The parents cannot, you can't be 16 years old live with me, and her 22-year-old boyfriend say, hey, you know, we love each other, we want to have sex, I can't say yes, and that makes it legal.
Right.
So, the parents cannot change the eye of the law. You know, if the law says it's statutory rape, then it's statutory rape whether they consent to it or not. It's the same thing with alcohol. I let you drink when you were a child, but that did not mean it was against the law. If you were 13 took a sip of beer, if the cops saw that, I'm going to jail. And you could be going to, you know, a foster home and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because I said it was okay. Does not make it okay. You can go way, way into that kind of stuff. Bank robbery is against the law, but if the bank manager told me to go ahead and do it, it's not against the law. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you can take that to the extreme. Just because someone says it's okay does not mean it is not against the law anymore.
Yep. That's true.
That one, I mean, you can tell them to call me on it. All they got to do is look up law books. 18 USP covers a lot of that type of stuff. You know, 18 United States Code.
Mm-hmm.
It'll set that kind of thing. And see, a lot of times federal law trumps state law. It's like, you know, you're all up in Washington. You like that marijuana now. If the feds wanted to go in there, federal law does not recognize marijuana for medical or recreational or anything.
Right.
So, you know, when California started doing medical marijuana, federal cops were raiding it because federal law trumps it. And there's federal laws against statutory rape as well, which is prison term.
Right.
So, now, are you still recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then you can look up all kinds of stuff. Are y'all talking about Oregon or Washington?
We're in Oregon.
Okay, you got in Oregon you're gonna have Oregon revised statutes or Oregon civil code, criminal code, something like that you can look up online. And
right.
and sometimes they're hard to navigate through because it would be like Oregon revised statute, Title 18, 3.2. It's like looking up stuff in the Bible. It's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
you can research stuff. You get into looking for stuff like sexual acts with a minor, all different kind of things, and it'll give you the definition. But I would guarantee Oregon being the kind of state it is against the law. I'll tell you 100% it is against the law what's happening, regardless of what the parents say.
Yeah, because she had said that I had another friend, he had brought it up with her that it was illegal, and she said, no, I looked it up online, it's not illegal here.
Yeah, everybody looks up everything online. That's bullshit. And unless there's something real close with age, like I said, if it's an 18-year-old with a 17-year-old, you know, there are some states that allow that kind of stuff, but, I mean, you said, what, 15 and 20 or something?
The girl was 15 at the time when they first started doing it, and the older girl was 19, she was 18 or 19.
Yeah, and that's going to be against the law because she's under 16, and now, if she's over 16, the other one's like 20, 21, still against the law.
Yeah, because she'll be like 20 this year or something like that, and the other one should be like 16 this year.
Yeah. They're definitely breaking the law, and you know, I've almost got a 4-year degree in criminal justice, and like I said, I was a federal cop, state cop, park ranger, you know, worked for U.S. Customs and Immigration. I mean, military police in the Army. In the Army, I dealt with state and federal law in all states, you know, Washington, Oregon, Arizona. You might be stationed in Washington with me when I was at Fort Lewis, but you're from, you know, another state, and so you have to kind of look at that state law too, because of, you know, the way the federal property works and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, they're breaking the law.
Yeah, and then so if you were to throw the fact that smoking pot is still illegal in Oregon, that would also add to, like, charges as well, right?
Oh, yeah, because while, which you always turn down. But like Cass drank wine one time. You know, she had a sip of wine. That's against the law.
Right.
Now, if Sarah or Cass, minors, somehow gets alcohol from friends and brings it to my house and drinks it, I'm still in trouble for that as the parent, guardian, the adult. So, yeah, the same thing with marijuana. They're both charged with using the narcotics, illegal narcotics and stuff like that. And then, you know, I mean, it's like I said, what they try to do, most prosecutors and stuff, is they try to compound it anything that they can. So now we've got statutory rape, sex with a minor. They might even just add rape. They may say, hey, we believe that the little girl is lying, and you forced her. Well, there's 3 charges. Now y'all are smoking marijuana, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. There's the 5th charge. Trafficking narcotics, distribution of narcotics. So now you're up to an 8th charge. So then you come in there and then you sit them at the table and you say, okay, which one of you is going to tell the truth about what's going on? You each are being charged with, you know, 6 sex crimes and 5 drug crimes. And they do that on purpose because then they don't ever have to really go to court because someone is eventually going to plead guilty to a lesser charge, like indecent acts with a minor. Well, they're not going to plead guilty to that because that makes you registered sex offender. But
Right.
then you plead guilty to possession of narcotics. So, you know, you might serve a couple days in jail, you know, a couple months in juvenile hall and stuff like that. Cops got their cue, you know, they got their points for making an arrest. The prosecutor got a conviction, and then the 2 girls have a record. Now, the minor would be mostly a field record except for extended circumstances as she got older. You know, she might get a QI, and they can pull that minor record and say, look, she's got a history of this. We're not going to slap her hand for this blood.
Right.
I mean, there's just so much stuff they pile in on that and everything. The basics of what you're talking about, someone under 18 doing sexual acts with someone over 18, boy, girl, 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 boy, boy, it's against the law. And then when you start getting into boy, boy, girl, girl, like I said, if the state doesn't recognize it, then there's a whole shitload of other stuff they have to do.
Right. So basically, it's just all sorts of trouble.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's messed up. You know, it's not right. It's against the law. Now, you know, people's eye of the law always varies, but the way the law is written, and like I said, the federal statutes and everything, that's what counts. You know, just because, the parents know about it, the parents don't care, they think it's cool. Well, nobody really gives a shit when it comes to the court and the cops and everything. What the parents think.
Yeah, I thought so. So I thought I'd get the opinion of, you know, someone who knew.
You get the facts.
Get the facts and all that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because it's the same thing like, you know, a couple years ago, you know, you're 18, 19. If I had known you were dating a minor, I would have approved. I mean, I would have said, you know, okay, but you guys need to know it's against the law. Regardless of my feelings on it, whether I am anti-dating this underage person or I'm, hey, whatever. If y'all are in agreement, you know, it's fine with me. It wouldn't make it legal.
Right.
And it's happened in my house. Like, say, for some reason, you know, Beck and I went camping and you and your minor girlfriend were at my house and I knew about it. Then you can start getting into charges to the parents for allowing that kind of stuff to happen or knowing that stuff's happening and not stopping.
Right.
So the parents, especially the minor's parents, but the parents knowing that it's going on and saying it's okay, if this ever blew up in court and everything, and they're like, well, my parents knew about it, and they said it's okay, now the parents are getting in trouble for the same charges, you know, an accessory to sodomy, an accessory to sexual acts with a minor. So they allow it to happen, you know, and that's like a sex game kind of thing. I mean, that's extreme, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then that just goes back to what I said. They try to pin on every possible charge they can. Now you got mom and dad getting charged with allowing or knowledge of sexual acts with a minor and not prevention and stuff. They're looking at having criminal records, and that's going to affect, credit scores, jobs, buying houses, buying cars. If your employer finds out, like mine, I work for the federal government. If they found out that I was involved with, sexual acts with a minor, not actually me doing it, but had knowledge of it and allowed it to happen, I'm fired.
Yeah.
So like I said, these are all extreme circumstances, but this little thing that, a couple little girls, and think they're in love, or they just are having a good time and everything, it has a big impact on everybody else down the road if anything ever came out of it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what everyone keeps trying to warn them, and then they keep saying also, that their excuse for the relationship is due to the fact that the ex-boyfriend made everything a living hell, and this is kind of their way to cope with it, I guess. So that would still make it wrong and illegal no matter what the excuse is.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can make excuses all you want for what and why and how we do this and that and everything else. It still comes down to the law. I mean, and then there's a thing they call it exigent circumstances and stuff, the 15-year-old, my boyfriend, punched me a couple times and he beat me up, and this girl consoled me and made me feel better about myself and blah, blah, blah. And, then they would look at that, if they actually charged them, they would say, well, we could see how this kind of develops and the progress of the progression of how this relationship started. And, we'll be a little more lenient than maybe in another circumstance. But it's still against the law.
Right, because I don't believe the 15-year-old was the one with the issue. It was the older one who had the ex-boyfriend issue and went to the 15-year-old, cheated on the boyfriend with the 15-year-old to begin with. So it's kind of like this really big, whoa, you made a mistake to begin with from the start, and now they're just using excuses, and they're overlooking the fact that it is wrong, illegal, and they're not accepting the fact because they don't want to listen to the facts that it is wrong no matter how you look at it. It's, you could get in a lot of trouble, the parents can get in a lot of trouble, and they just don't want to accept this,
Oh, I mean, I know exactly where they're coming from. I mean, everyone was a teenager. I was a teenager. You were a teenager. Of course, you weren't the wild kind of thing like, Keith and I were. But we've been in the shoes that you're talking about and describing. I mean, it's the if. If it happens, that's what you always have to think about. If something was to happen, is this right or wrong?
Right.
Do I care? No. Will I care 10 years from now? Yes. Because everything has an impact later on, It's kind of like that whole karma thing, screw you, we can do what we want. And then maybe you get busted, maybe you get slapped on the hand. But then you decide, hey, I want to go work for the federal government, I work for the VA, I work for the Park Service. Oh, you can't go to the Park Service. You've been charged with a crime.
Right.
You can't work for the federal government. You've been charged with a crime. Even misdemeanors, it hinders a lot of stuff that you want to do. Now, if it turned into like a felony type case, then you're losing your right to vote, your right to hunt, your right to do certain activities. Makes it harder for you to get a passport to travel and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, a lot of this stuff is extreme things, but all of this could happen, when you break simple little laws. Other than traffic laws, you get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.